California Film Foundation, and now we are in our second track of the day, which is our film panel. And what's it called, Ed?
Oh, it's called the Film Paralogy.
See, I just like to do that just for fun. Let's try it again. What's that called, Ed?
Oh, it's called the Ed Fletcher Talks About Film with Film People title.
Ed Fletcher Group.
We call it Creative Collabos.
Creative Collabo.
Creative Collabos, because we have a very diverse panel here, not just made up of filmmakers. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead and sit down for me, sir. Thank you. All right. Yep. Anywhere's fine. There's one thing there. It's called Creative Collabos because the point is that, again, it's not just strictly filmmakers that we have. There are filmmakers on this panel, but they're also doing other things. I'm going to let Ed introduce them, but just so that I can get a couple real quick announcements out of the way. How many people were not in the last session? How many people just came? Hi, Marlette, how you doing? Wait a minute, who's that? Oh, Marvell, hi, sorry. How many people were not in the last session? Let me see. Everybody was? Okay, well, y'all are sticking it out. I like that. Well, let me tell you, there was some questions from the last session we're going to get to real quickly, if there was just any last little straggling questions, because some of our panelists have hung out. But also, I want to make mention to you that, again, we're here at Carol's Books today, and if you notice, there are wonderful, wonderful books on the wall here. And this, again, is the longest-running African-American bookseller here in Sacramento, and as such, she really needs your support because she's doing things like this in the community, just like what Delaire was talking about the thing that they're doing on Sunday. By the way, she does have a mailing list, so if you want to sign up, you can go back there in the back after we're done here and sign up. And while you're at it, do me a favor, if you haven't already. How many people are on that CaliforniaFilm.net? How many people are signed up on California? How many people don't know what I'm talking about? Don't know what I'm talking about. CaliforniaFilm.net. It's very simple and easy. All you got to do is sign up. And what you'll do, what that will do is it'll put you on my database, but more specifically and more fundamentally for you, it'll get you in tune with everything that you need for acting, for professional filmmaking, and all of those related fields. Tonight, on this stage, right after we're done right here, we're going to be doing the Fashion on Film. Anybody know what that is? Who knows what Fashion on Film is?
Yeah.
You do? Hold up. What is it? Wait a minute. What is it?
Go ahead.
I'm okay.
She's okay. She knows what it is, but she won't say. Anybody that's not too shy to talk, know what Fashion on Film is? Talk to me. Talk to me. I know you know. Come here. Come here. Lorraine Nicole, everybody, from our last model actress. Now, the reason why I'm putting her on the spot is because she was in the program last year. She was a model in the program. Come here. Real quick. Now, don't be shy now. You got to show them how it's done. Can I see you? Wait a minute. Hold up. Do me a favor, real quick. Go over there for me, and then come back up here. And I want to see. No, back all the way over there. I want to see you do your model walk. Ready? And bust it out. Come on. Hey. Okay, now let me do a turn. Now go back the other way. Oh, everybody now. Ready to go. All right, now we're going to have you come back. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Just like to tell people.
All right, now what's Fashion on Film?
What's Fashion on Film?
What was it to you?
It was a really great experience. A really, really great experience. It was a lot of talented models and actors and actresses who got together to act out a beautiful film.
That's very true. And not only that, we had films and we had a live stage performance. So give it up for her. Put her on the spot, and she did it. All right, so tonight we're going to do the casting call, and we're going to have a little fun right after we're done here. So that's my little pitch for that. So y'all are welcome to stay around. But we're kind of making it more of a party than like a hardcore casting call, so that when people come up and do their walk, it is so, you know what I'm talking about. When you're doing auditions and everything, how many people have been in an audition before? Is it nerve-wracking? Okay. Would you like to have a guy like me conducting that audition? No. Okay. Well, if you did, you probably, hopefully, would not be as nerve-wracked, and that's what we're going to do tonight. All right, so everybody, real quick, again, it's called Creative Collaborations. I'm going to let Ed introduce the panel, but I have to introduce Ed. His name is Ed Fletcher, and for those of you that don't know, now you know. He is the man, the myth, the legend, at the Sacramento Bee, because his day job is he finds out what is going on in our community and he disseminates that information for you on the daily basis. And by the way, I just want to put in a plug for the Sacramento Bee, because people are saying that the local newspapers are going away. Local newspapers are vital to an interconnected society and an interconnected community. Rowena's nodding her head because she works for a local news entity, Fox 40. Right?
I started in print.
And you started in print. And so the point is that it is vital. So do yourself a favor, go get that online subscription. If you don't want it at your house every day, go get that online subscription to the Bee, because not only are you helping these journalists to keep a job, you're helping yourself to stay interconnected to your community. And with that, I want to say thank you to Mr. Ed Fletcher.
Let's hear for Marty and Naya, the man making this all happen here. And let's hear for Carol's Books one more time. Thank you for having us here. A quick word about me and the Bee and everything that's going on. And we'll talk about this a little bit through the panel as we talk about marketing and film and stuff. The Bee recently laid off most of the feature section. So there's not a lot of coverage there anymore. So it's going to be more incumbent upon you more than ever to build your own brand and to make a compelling case for any type of coverage. And when you do see coverage, it's important that you share it with your friends. We, at least in the Bee operation, are more cognizant of clicks than ever. So when you do see something you like, share it with your friends, tell other people about it so the editors can see that, oh, that story did get clicks. We can justify sending somebody to do that, because if you're not sharing it, you're not doing your part and encouraging not just my outlet, but other outlets that do the type of coverage you like. Please spread that. All right, that commercial done. Again, yeah, I'm a reporter at the Bee. My side job is doing film and video. I'm working on a documentary called Do the Dance with my creative partner DQ Hayes on the end here. So I'll quickly introduce everybody here. We got DQ Hayes, former musician turned filmmaker. Matt Gilliam, I've also worked with him. Matt is a director, producer, does some television, lots of things in the air. Matt Salvo does creative work as well as commercial work, and I want to talk about how you balance those two there. Rowena Shaddix, Channel 40, for a good minute, and we'll talk about how approaches to getting your story picked up, and personally how we as filmmakers should be marketing our efforts and social media and things like that. And of course Vincent D. Miles, who's done more big acting than probably anybody in this room here.
I'd say so.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. What was the commercial? Was there a chip commercial or something?
Oh yeah, Tostitos.
Tostitos, yeah. Check out the Tostitos, man. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching, yes sir.
Right. All right, so wanted to jump in it here and talk about, this is a theme we covered in the previous panel there, how do you choose what projects you want to work on, and as you do that, do give a little bit more of an introduction on what you're working with. We'll start with Matt Salvo, since he was he got the lead picture in all this here.
What was that?
I don't know, you're the superstar.
I'm the superstar?
You're the feature.
I'm pretty sure you guys are the superstar.
Hey, we're not the one driving the Porsche.
All right. Yeah, my name is Matt Salvo, and when I go out and about, people ask me what I do, and I often struggle with that answer because I do a lot, and just like all of you, we all wear multiple hats. But ultimately, I'm a storyteller, and I have multiple different mediums that I do that in. Photography, cinematography. My biggest, I'd say about 85% of my revenue comes from business-to-business marketing, and I produce short films for them. There's a new trend going on, and instead of talking heads at the camera, they want stories. They want a beginning, middle, and end, and that's kind of what I do. So I provide that for my customers, and I also do photography with consumers as well. But storytelling is where it's at.
All right, I'm Matthew Gilliam, or Matt Gilliam. Either you can call me whatever you like.
As long as they call you, right?
Just as long as they call me, exactly. Yeah. So I'm a filmmaker. I went to San Francisco State University. I have my BA in cinema from there, and I've kind of just been doing local projects and things like that. And I'm actually starting to branch out into projects in different cities and whatnot. Recently, and basically I've been doing film directing, and I've had the mentality of working my way through the crew, so I've done everything from sound to operating the camera to gaffing, gripping, and whatever like that. So it's my particular philosophy that, as a filmmaker, that you should know or be able to do any job on set. Recently, I had the pleasure of working as a project manager, and I guess that's what I'm doing, professionally now. And I worked for a company, Screen Takes, for about a year, and what we did was create interactive multimedia ebooks, and these ebooks teach students how to screenwrite using classic films. For example, one of the books that we did was Kramer versus Kramer. If anyone's seen that movie, we used scenes from Kramer versus Kramer, sections from the screenplay, parts of the audio, and things like that in order to show students throughout the ebook what the format of screenwriting is. So I've also worked recently at the Mill Valley Film Festival, and I'm going to be on staff for them for the future and whatnot like that. So I've had opportunity to meet with some international filmmakers from different countries and things like that, and talk with them about their perspectives on filmmaking and whatnot. So that's what I do.
Sounds like a lot. That's have to measure up and all that stuff. It's kind of funny, but yeah, my name's DQ Hayes. I'm a Northern California filmmaker here. I started in Southern California, Los Angeles. Was a professional musician. I was a jazz player, turned reggae professional saxophonist for a touring band that was signed for about 12 years. Did that professionally, and I was in the industry, and then that swept me into film. I'm a jack of all trades, so I started from the bottom, ultimately as a sound guy on film sets while I was in film school, and then I started a media company with a co-student, and we produced, I got a good contract to produce professional boxing and MMA, so AAA events for UFC that happen here in California, because not everything is in Vegas or Atlanta, happens here. My company was in charge to film all that, so that's a big production, as well as professional championship IBF boxing, which will be the same thing. So those are big events, and then I started working as more of an editor for television. I was the Karzar's editor for a year, and then that's when I started doing more directing and producing with my good friend here / production engineer guy over there who does it all as well. And we started putting out projects, and we put out about 5. And I've worked on a bunch of movies here, but us together, we won an award, and we've been to a bunch of film festivals, and then we have kind of like these sets of projects we're going to be putting out in the next 5 years. And so it starts off with our documentary, which is Do the Dance. It's a really cool and compelling story about women overcoming just the powers that be back in the day when you had to stand up for yourself. So that's going to be a great story. Look out for that. And that leads into our feature-length film, and then we'll have other projects after that. So that's where I'm at, and I just want to be kind of short with that. So thank you very much.
I'm Rowena Shaddix. They call me Ro on air because I think it's the easiest to pronounce. I started in print, like Ed. I worked in a newspaper, just a 20,000 circ, the Daily Republic, for 11 years. But I always wanted to do television, just the immediacy of it. And I was worried about the future of the papers, but was very blessed to make the transition from print into television here in Market 20, and actually started at 37. I did things backwards. I got married in college, I started a family in college, and then I started my career. So it was challenging at times, but you set your goal, I pray a lot, and I'm here, and I'm so grateful. And so I've been at Fox 40 now for 15 years, and predominantly you're going to see me on crime scenes. That's what I covered at the newspaper, is the crime beat. So you'll see me talking to murder suspects or families who have tragically lost someone in an accident or to a crime, things like that. I tend to gravitate to those types of stories where a lot of reporters maybe don't enjoy covering those things, but I just feel like God puts people in my path every day. Everyone has a story to tell, even the bad guys. And honestly, I was telling my
I know, there we go.
gotta go.
Take off.
I was telling my daughter, I celebrated my birthday 2 days ago, and 52, thank you. Thank you. And thank you.
Not 52.
But the people that have wished me happy birthday, I can honestly say a really good majority of people that I consider my close friends, people that are dear to my heart, are people that I've met in such very sad and tragic circumstances, mothers who've lost their children to homicides, things like that, even mothers of rape and murder suspects. Like I said, I feel like God puts people in my path. They give me something. Hopefully I'm blessed enough where people trust me to tell their stories every day. And it's very challenging making the transition from print to TV. In print, you kind of have the luxury of telling things in inches, although I don't think it's as big as before, when it used to be like 20 inches to a story is now down maybe to 10, 15 inches. In TV, what you typically see on the news each night, they try to keep it to a minute 30, if that. A minute 20 they prefer. So imagine trying to tell someone's tragic story or even a good story in that amount of time. You really have to pick and choose what are the most important things that you want to bring across during that time. And so I feel like a little bit, I don't know, all these big film people, I'm like in awe of you guys. I'm just a little TV person. But because of this job, I've been blessed. I met Dion Taylor doing a story on him, local filmmaker, and I've been in 2 of his movies. One of them's coming out next year, Traffic, where I play a news reporter anchor. Big stretch. But I'm happy to be here tonight and chat with all of you guys. So thank you for having me.
Put the work in. You got to put the work in. Anybody up there in this panel will tell you that. I mean, he didn't get to where he was, and none of these people, where you guys, where you are today, you didn't get that way without getting to where you are without putting the work in. So now you got to put in more work if you want to do this thing. So make sure it's something you love to do, because if you don't love to do it, then don't even do it. Okay, that's my one-on-one words.
I love that point there about being fearless, which leads into my question for the film guys here on that side. Obviously, you've chosen to be the guy in Sacramento, at least for now, as opposed to moving to LA and being the guy, the production assistant, and trying to go that path. If you would, talk about why you've chosen to go this route and how you see yourself moving forward.
He's looking at you.
See, I know. So ultimately, I've said this when I was in film school a lot, and maybe I think I had a little insight on this because in music, I know a lot of pro musicians that never lived in LA. I grew up in LA, where in Studio City, Wilshire Districts, where I'm from. I'm from Chicago, but I grew up there as well. But you can move to any other spot and still have a job in LA. And anyone tells you that, they're wrong. I've got tons of friends that do it professionally. They don't have the number here, so most of them have a 818 or 323, or now they still kind of do have 213. And you can have one of those numbers, but you live somewhere else. Your agents, they can get a hold of you quicker, and you get down to that job quicker. That's how you kind of do it. I have friends that get jobs now that are in your field to do more corporate work. They go down there all day long. And they live here in Sacramento. I have a friend that he works iZombie and what's the other one? Z Nation. He's the editor for that company and those TV shows, and he lives here in Sac and Carmichael. And then the thing about that is you just have to be available, but you don't necessarily have to be there. You know, and it's the thing I saw a lot in film school when I was there was people's, after they graduate, well, I'm gonna go run down LA. I'm like, well, what are you gonna do that for? Build your brand, get your name out, put out some projects, then go down there, or go down there, build your brand, but still, be able to go back and forth. So that's what I've seen as far as I've been in the business. You don't necessarily have to be there. You're another number, is what I'm trying to say. And if you have contacts, yes, do that, because then you're gonna get in through the back door, which is always better. Cause, kind of waiting, because then you may not get noticed waiting, but if someone ushered you in through the back, then yeah, you have that opportunity. It's a little bit different, and that's not for everybody. So I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just saying that I've seen you don't have to be there. Definitely have a number that puts you in LA, but you can live in Rancho, you can live in, downtown Sac or Rockland or Roseville, or even San Fran for that matter. I've done tons of work in San Fran on corporate level for editing, for audio, where it's a telecommute, or they send you there, you do the job, you come back. But that's my experience of it, and that's what I can give to you guys as experience. So I hope that helps.
I'm super silly. I don't get out of the class from the school.
All right. What happened with me in LA is that I was slated to, I was attending San Francisco State University and everything, and just like most of the other students that were there in film school, all of our idea was to move down to LA. But what happened to me was that during film school I was diagnosed with leukemia, which most of you know is a form of cancer. So with that diagnosis, on the suggestion of my doctor and people that were caretakers and family and stuff like that, I ended up staying local. I ended up graduating from San Francisco State with my film degree still, but ended up in a kind of 10-15 year battle with leukemia. And during that time, I just, decided or kept building myself up as much as I could locally here in Sacramento and also in the Bay Area and around places and stuff like that. And so, what I ultimately found was that I was able to actually do more than some of my friends that actually are in LA, that moved to LA at that point in time and stuff. And I was able to have a greater breadth of opportunities and things like that. And so when I talked with, and I still have connections from San Francisco State who are in LA and they're working at BET or they're working at MTV or Sony or just wherever, and I asked them, in some cases, hey, I'm gonna come down there and work with you and do things like that. One of the things they tell me, hey, if you come down here, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna have to work your way up and be a PA or work your way up and be kind of an editor or do certain things like that. So what their advice to me was to just continue doing what I could where I was at and make as big an impact as I could. And then, the idea being that one day you'll rise so much to a point where you'll be a commodity and you won't be going into LA and working at Starbucks and trying to, be an actor part-time or whatever, but you'll have an invite and it'll be like, they'll say, hey, can you come down here and, work on this film or work on that film and stuff. And, just recently, and I've been at it for many years, but just recently I've been reached out to by companies in Atlanta and also companies down south for more higher positions working on films and things like that. So I think that there is the LA route, and that's definitely undeniably, a method or a way that you can take, a philosophy that you can take, but there is also the philosophy of just doing the best that you can where you're at, making a name for yourself, honing your craft and honing your skills, and then you become an international player. You become a commodity, whether it's in LA or whether it's in Atlanta or New York or wherever.
That's really cool that you had to battle that and be successful with
Fearless.
leukemia. That's amazing. It's a tough one to follow. So, yeah, you are. Well, a little bit of background about me. I grew up in Roseville and Sacramento, and I always had the normal day job. But even that day job, I was called a creative specialist, and so my job was to make little movies and do photography and social media and stuff for this company. And then finally, I was just so stifled, I think. I don't know how many of you guys have a day job out there that you just feel you want to do more, but your boss is like, no, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's just, do this even flow, and
Status quo.
is the status quo. And it just didn't reside with me, and I kept up with it for like 10 years. I mean, I thought, oh, I'm gonna retire. Like all my coworkers are, retiring, and I was like, I could move up. But then I started actually with this fashion on film that Marty was talking about earlier, and I think I just like broke up with a girlfriend or something, and I just needed something to like, get your mind out there and be healthy about it, where people depend on you. And I never wrote a script, I never made a movie, I never did anything. So first one out, I thought, well, let's go big or go home. So I had like 200 extras. I had a cast of like 27, a lighting crew, DP. I had the whole 9 yards, and I funded it myself. I took like $5 grand out of my 401k, and I don't care. Like, I needed to get it out there, and bam, that did really well. We were very successful in that. Won a bunch of awards, and then I just got bit by the bug. I'm like, okay, well, I got my day job that's funding my fun hobby of filmmaking, and so I'm just gonna keep doing it. And then the next one I made, me and my cast and crew beat 20,000 people and made it onto Project Greenlight with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, and that's kind of my story with LA. And we didn't make it, we didn't win. It was kind of a dumb movie, but a lot of people liked it, and that's like, if a lot of people like something that I made, maybe there's something to this movie. I could make a living at it. So I started pursuing clients, and I started making little movies for them. And I never gave in terms of, if I felt weird about something that they're asking me to do, if it bent with my values or whatever, I just said, no, I don't need your money. And even when I quit my job and all that stuff, I still stuck with that. I don't need your money if it doesn't work with my life. I'm a single dad. I have my daughter half the time. Family life is very important to me. And if I'm going to be doing this, it needs to be worth my while as yours. So that's kind of what I built my company on. And I've been about 1.5 years out on my own. I quit my job. I don't have the normal benefits and all that stuff anymore. But now I have my own company. It's my baby. And somehow I became successful at it. I don't know how that worked. And we're projected to make $750,000 in our first 2 years. And just because I could have been doing that years ago. It's like, man, I'm 36 years old. Imagine where I'd be now if I did that 10 years ago. But you know what? I needed to work there in order to get that drive and that passion in me. And it taught me a lot of life lessons, and I'm thankful for that job, and I'm thankful for where I'm at now. And who needs LA? I mean, we have lots of talent here. I've hired about half of you, I'm sure, for different things. There's plenty of talent here, so let's stick here.
So, question for you, Ro. A lot of filmmakers here, they want to see their projects on television or in the newspaper. What advice or suggestions would you have for filmmakers that want to get coverage?
My biggest thing when I tell people when they're trying to pitch a story or they want some coverage, Dion's done it for things. We typically get press releases that are emailed to us, and so we get tons of press releases. So how do you distinguish which one to cover, which one is worthy to send not just a photographer but a reporter to do a little bit more? I think the biggest thing is trying to connect to one person in that newsroom. Talk to a real person. Ask to talk to an assignment editor. Surely send your press release, but follow up and talk to a real person. And in that few minutes that you have on the phone, just convey as much as you can as to why this is different and what makes this interesting for the general audience, not just to you, but how other people are going to benefit from your work by seeing coverage on this. It's interesting, like you were saying a little while ago, to talk to people, get out there. That's the biggest thing. You find a lot of times with newer reporters, they're waiting to be assigned to a story perhaps, or they're looking in the newspaper to find a story. The best way to find stories, cover things, get the word out there is just by talking to people. It's amazing what you learn just from talking to the person in front of you at Starbucks, or maybe the person behind you in line at Safeway, or you just happen to be at church and you like some lady's shoes and you get into a conversation about that, and you find out that she has this amazing life and a story to tell, and next thing you know, that's going to be my story Tuesday when I come back to work. So it's important to connect with people, connect with someone in the newsroom, talk to real people, ask just for a few minutes of their time, and let them know how important this is to you and how this could be important to the audience as well, why you will benefit, other people will benefit from what you know.
That leads into another issue. So when that person contacts you and they say, I got this movie, it's doing X, Y, and Z, I will often go and I'll look at their Facebook page and their Twitter page, and if it says they've got 3 friends and like no followers, then I'm like, what? Maybe I'm not ready to make 100,000 copies of this story yet. Maybe they haven't built their brand yet. So if a couple of you want to jump in here and talk about the importance of personal branding and then branding your movie or your project, giving it a name, giving it an image, and then driving it.
You know what? In this business, no matter what you do, I know we're talking about filmmaking, but even as actors, musicians, no matter what you do, especially with today, it is so important that you use the social media and these different tools to build your story, to tell you, to promote yourself. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, it's so important. And it's one of the things I love about with Marty. I learned a lot also about marketing through him. I'll tell you, if you want to really take him to lunch or dinner or buy him a drink and pick his brain. But no, but you can really learn a lot about really the essence of how to market and how to promote yourself or your product. Okay, you got to definitely do your homework. But if you don't do that, I mean, you're like the hamster in the wheel. You're just running in place and not getting anywhere. So I can't stress that enough. Is to really make sure you do promote yourself or your product or your film or whatever it is. Okay.
I'll take one. I think social media is very important. 100% of my business relies on it. I haven't paid for any advertising other than some promotional Facebook posts, and I think my keys to success on that is I know we all love Donald Trump, we all hate Donald Trump. Just keep it off if that's your professional image. I know you're so adamant about it and everything, but whatever personal things you got going on in life, text your friends about it. Don't put it on social media because you never know when that's going to come, and bite you in the butt later. There was this one particular senator I worked with, and I hated that guy's guts. I hated him, but it's like I still post a little selfie with me and him, because never know what his friends are going to do. It's like you just got to play the game. You're not selling yourself out. But if you don't believe in certain things, don't go with it. But it's just like, if all you're doing is being paid to make a video, just do it and make it a damn good video.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Social media nowadays, when I was attending film school, there was no social media. It predated social media. So, at that time, it was really just about, honing your craft and about making your name ring in certain, areas and stuff like that. But now, with social media is prevalent, it's upon us. So if you're looking to work in the entertainment industry, social media is definitely, you know, a part of that, and especially if you're a rising star and you're, you know, trying to put your brand out there, put yourself out there, it's definitely one of the tools that is at your disposal. Now, I recently just posted a post on Twitter about that most of my favorite directors don't participate in social media at all. And so one of my aspirations is to become so forceful or known as a director that I don't have to participate in social media. Then my work can just kind of speak for itself and things like that. But for now, for those of us who are not on the level of Chris Nolan or somebody like that, social media is definitely something that we need to be active in.
That's pretty cool, because that's kind of how I feel as far as most people that are in the upper echelons of our profession don't have a Facebook account. They might have a LinkedIn, but they'll definitely have a Twitter. That's usually the way, when you get to that level, you start communicating with your fan base. My recollection of most of the stuff when you deal with your fans is, I don't know how far when you were in film school, but I'm thinking 99, 2000. So the record label we were dealing with would say, what's your numbers? Well, what they mean is, how big is your fan base upon MySpace? How many followers do you have? How many followers are on your iTunes? And iTunes was just really starting out, you know, back then. They were putting out, but people were starting to pirate your stuff. So that was a big deal back then. But you had to have those numbers, and you have that same thing now with that, Snapchat and Facebook and all the other avenues that you have here. But definitely make sure you build from your grassroots, your foundation, build it where it's at. Know who your fan base is. See what they're doing and what they like from you, and then that way you can, at this level, go out to go meet them and start building your fan base bigger than where it is. Luckily, besides myself being a marketer, Ed is a big marketer. So in our current film that we're working on now, we have a fan base that deals with a lot of female empowerment stuff, and as well as female theater art. And so we're big in that profession of burlesque dancers and all the burlesque scenes in town, outside of here in LA, in Vegas, in Portland, things like that. Know what your fan base is doing. That way they know your name, they know the product, and they're familiar with you. You need that to build yourself, because without them there will be no you, or will be no us. Put out all the movies we want, you know, but people have to watch them, of course. That's a big deal.
That was a good point made there by DQ. Ultimately, the goal is to convince them to watch something they've never heard of before. If it's business to business, it's one thing. If it's commercial, then it's like you're paying to put it on. If you're talking about filmmaking, you're trying to convince them that they need to pay $12 to go see this thing that started in your head, and it's a big ask. And if you can't start to grow that on social media and tell people why they should see your thing, you're going to have a hard time telling people in pitch meetings or convincing people ultimately that they should buy your movie. One commercial / note before we move into our question round. If you've got questions, start brewing them in your head. The city is in the process of rewriting its creative arts plan. They're calling it Creative Edge, and there's been a series of workshops. Raise your hand if you've heard of this. Is this come through to you? Okay, so a few of us. That's good. But they're trying to ask in all different pockets of the Sacramento creative sector what the government should be doing to aid that sector or move things along. There's a survey that you can take. There's also a Facebook page. So please do go there on Facebook and tell them what's important to you, because if other people are talking and we're not talking, then we shouldn't be surprised that the plan doesn't favor us in the end. So do your part in our democratic process here. Search Creative Edge Sacramento. Okay, question time.